A young woman of 23, with a terribly pale face, was standing on the beach and looking into the distance. From her little feet, dressed in velvet boots, a shabby, narrow staircase with one very movable railing was going down to the sea. The woman was looking into the distance, where a vast expanse was flooded with a deep, impermeable gloom. Neither stars nor snow-covered sea nor lights could be seen. It was raining heavily. What was out there? Woman thought, getting into the distance and wrapping her wet coat and shawl against the wind and rain. Somewhere out there in the impermeable darkness, 5, 10, or more kilometers away, her husband, landlord, what's called lit, must be with his fishing company. If a snowstorm has not covered I don't want to butcher the name, so yeah. And his fishermen with snow during the last 2 days at the sea, now they hurry to the shore. The sea rose, and, as they say, will soon begin to break the ice. The ice can not take this wind. Will their ugly wind, heavy and sluggish fishing sleds be able to reach the shore before the pale woman hears the roar of the waking sea? Woman longs to go down. The railing moved under her hand, and wet and sticky, slipped from her grasp like a fish. She sat on the steps and began to go down on all fours, gripping the cold, dirty steps with her hands. The wind blew on her and opened her coat. There was a smell of dampness on her chest. Saint Wondermaker Nicholas, I swear, there will be no end to this staircase, whispered the young woman, scrambling up the stairs. There were exactly 90 steps in the staircase. They did not curve, but went straight down the line at an acute angle to the plumb line. The wind shook it viciously from side to side, and it creaked like a board about to crack. 10 minutes later, the woman was down by the sea. It was just as dark down there. The wind here was even fiercer than up there. Rain poured down, and there seemed to be no end to it. Who was there? A man's voice was heard. It's me, my Dennis. Dennis, a tall, stout, not young, but old man with a big gray beard, was standing on the shore, carrying a big stick, and he too was looking into the impermeable distance. He stood looking for a dry spot on his clothes, light a match on, and smoke his pipe. Is that you, Lady Natalia? He asked in a bewildered voice. Is this inclement weather? And what have you got to do here? With your physique after childbirth, a cold is the first death. Go home, mother. The crying of the old woman was heard. The mother of the fisherman, Itchio, who had gone with Lid to fish, was weeping. Then he sighed and waved his hand. You've lived, old woman, he said to the boy. 70 years in this world, and you were like a little child. You have no idea. For everything, you fool, is the will of God. For your senile weakness, you should lie on the Russian stove and not sit in the damp. Go away. Maise. He's the only one I got. I can't pronounce that word. God's will. If he is not destined to die in the sea, then let the sea break 100 times, but he will stay alive. And my mother, if he is destined to die this time, it is not for us to decide. Do not cry, old woman. Ipse is not the only one at sea. Master Andre is there too. Fedya, Kuzma, and Tara are there too. Are you alive? Natalia asked in a trembling voice. I'm going to skip over some of these words and try and shorten them or abbreviate them just because I don't want to butcher it. So we're just going to, make it easy. Well, who knows, lady? They were not swept by the snowstorm. yesterday, and on the third day, they must be alive. To see it does not crack, they will be alive. Look at the wind. It is not like it is tired. God damn it. Someone is walking on the ice, said the young woman in an unnaturally husky voice, as if startled. I took a step back. Dennis squinted in his eyes and listened. No, lady, nobody is coming. It is Petrusha, the fool, who is sitting in the boat, moving the oars. Petrusha shouted. Denise, are you sitting? I am, old man, a weak, sickly voice was heard. Does it hurt? It hurts, old man. It is unbearable. There was a boat on the shore, on the edge of the ice. At the very bottom of the boat, a tall guy with ugly long arms and legs was sitting. It is Petrusha, the fool. He was gnashing his teeth and trembling with all his body, staring into the dark void, trying to see something too. He, like the others, was waiting for something from the sea. His long arms were gripping the oars, and his left leg was tucked under his torso. Our little fool is ill, said Dennis, coming up to the boat. His leg hurts, my darling. And the boy lost his mind from the pain. You should go warm, Petrusha. Here you will catch a cold, even worse. Petrusha was silent. He was trembling and writhing in pain. His left thigh was in pain, the back side of it, in the very place where the nerve runs. Come, Petrusha, Dennis said in a soft voice, with a soft, lively voice. Lie down on the stove, and God willing, your leg will stop hurting by morning. I hear it, Petrusha muttered as he unclenched his jaws. What do you hear, silly? The ice is broken. How can you hear it? I hear a noise like that. One noise from the wind, another from the water, and the wind is different, softer. Kilometers away from here, it is already breaking. The old man listened for a long time. When all that hum, he could understand nothing but the howling of the wind and the steady noise of the rain. Half an hour passed in waiting in silence. The wind was doing its job. It grew angrier and angrier and seemed determined to break the ice at any cost, take Ipse's son from the old woman and her husband from the pale woman. Meanwhile, the rain was getting weaker and weaker. Soon it became so rare that one could see human figures and the silhouettes of a boat and the whiteness of the snow in the darkness. Through the howling of the wind, a ringing could be heard. It was ringing in the fishing village and dilapidated, hopefully I got that right, bell tower. People caught at sea in the blizzard, and then rain had to ride to that bell, straw that a drowning man clings to. Old man, the water is near. Do you hear it? Old man listened. This time he heard a rumble that did not sound like the howling of the wind or the noise of the trees. The fool was right. There could be no longer any doubt that lived, and his fisherman would not return to the shore to celebrate Christmas. It's over, said Dennis. It is breaking. The old woman shrieked and crouched to the ground. The lady, wet and shivering with cold, went over to the boat and began to listen. And she heard an ominous rumble. Maybe it's the wind, she said. Are you convinced, Dennis, that it is the ice breaking? God's will, for our sins, lady. Dennis sighed and added in a gentle voice, Come upstairs, madam. You are already soaking wet. And the people on the shore heard a quiet laugh, a child's happy laughter. A pale woman was laughing. Dennis muttered. He always mumbled when he wanted to cry. She has gone mad, whispered to the dark silhouette of the man. The air became lighter. The moon appeared. Now everything was visible. The sea with half-melted snowdrifts, and a lady, and Dennis, and Petrusha the fool, writhing in unbearable pain. Away to the side stood the men, holding ropes in their hands for something. There was the first clear crackling sound not far from the shore. Soon there was another, third, and a terrifying crackling sound in the air. The white, endless mass shook and darkened. The monster awoke and began its violent life. How the wind, the noise of the trees, Petrusha's groans and ringing were all silenced by the roar of the sea. We have to go upstairs, shouted Dennis, and the shore is going to be flooded and covered with ice floes. And matins is about to begin, folks. Come along, mother lady. God wills it. Okay. Dennis went up to Natalia. Carefully took her under the elbows. Come, mother, he said softly in a voice full of compassion. The lady pushed Dennis aside with her hand and, lifting her head cheerfully, went to the stairs. She was no longer so deathly pale. Healthy flush was in her cheeks, as if fresh blood had been poured into her system. Her eyes no longer looked cried out, and her hands, which held the shawl to her breast, did not tremble as before. She now felt that she would be able to walk up the 5 stairs on her own without any help. When she reached the 3rd step, she stopped dead in her tracks. Before her stood a tall, stately man in big boots and a fur coat. It is me, Natasha. Do not be afraid, said the man. Natalia staggered, stricken as her husband, the landlord lit in his high lambskin hat, black mustache, and black eyes. Her husband lifted her up in his arms and kissed her on the cheek, tilting her to the fumes of sherry and cognac. Cognac? He was a little drunk. Rejoice, Natasha, he said. I was not lost under the snow, and I did not drown. During the snowstorm, I got as far as Tagnarok with my boys, and from there I came to you. I came. He mumbled, and she looked at him with frightened eyes, pale and trembling again. She could not believe. You were soaking wet, trembling, he whispered, holding her to his chest. And a soft, childlike kind of smile spread across his face, intoxicated with happiness and wine. They were waiting for him in his cold, in this nighttime. Was this not love? And he laughed with happiness. A shrill, soul-shattering cry answered that quiet and happy laughter. Not the roar of the sea, not the wind. Nothing could drown it out. With her face distorted by despair, the woman was able to hold back the cry, and it bursted out. Everything could be heard in it: voluntary marriage, irresistible antipathy to her husband, her sad loneliness, and finally crumbling hope of a free widow. Oh, so she was hoping that he didn't come back. Her whole life, with its grief, tears, and pain, poured out in this cry, not drowned even by the crackling ice. Her husband understood that cry. It was impossible not to understand it. You were sorry that I was not snowed in or crushed by the ice? He muttered. His lower lip quivered and the bitter smile spread across his face. He descended the steps and lowered his wife to the ground. Have it your way, he said. He turned away from his wife and went to the boat. There, Patricia the fool clenched his teeth, trembling and hopping on one leg, dragging the boat into the water. Where are you going? Lith asked him. It pains me, Your Excellency. I want to drown. It does not hurt the dead. Lith jumped into the boat, pulling after him. Goodbye, Natasha, shouted the landlord. Have it your way. Get what you have been waiting for, standing here in the cold. Godspeed. The fool swung his oars, and the boat, pushed against the large ice floe, sailed toward the high waves. Row, Patricia, never. Try again. Row, Patricia, row, said Lith. Further, further. Lith, holding on to the edges of the boat, rocked and looked back. His Natasha was gone. Gone were the lights of the pipes. At last, the shore was gone. Come back, Lith heard a woman's torn voice. And in that come back, he seemed to hear despair. Come back. Lith's heart started pounding. Love had called him, and then on the shore in the church, praying for Christmas matins. Come back, the sea was repeated, imploringly. Echo repeated the word. The ice flows rather the word. The wind shrieked, and the Christmas chime said, come back. Let us go back, Lith said, tugging the fool by the sleeve. But the fool did not hear. Gritting his teeth in pain and looking hopefully into the distance, he worked with his long arms. No one shouted come back to him, but the pain and the nerve which had begun in childhood was becoming more and more acute and burning. Lith grabbed his hand and pulled him back. But his hands were as hard as stone. It was not easy to tear them off the oars, and it was too late. A huge ice floe was rushing towards the boat. The ice floe was going to take away Patricia's pain forever. A pale woman stood on the shore of the sea until morning. She, half frozen, exhausted by moral torments, was carried home and put to bed. But her lips still kept whispering, "Come back." On Christmas night, she fell in love with her husband. Well, that's one way to end it. I really don't know what to make of this game. I don't know. It was a lot. It was. But okay. So this was on Christmas night. Hopefully y'all enjoyed this video. If y'all did, of course, like, comment, subscribe, share, all that fun stuff. And you know, Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, Happy New Year's. I guess Happy Kwanzaa. Can I say that? And yeah, I will catch y'all in 2022 and in the next video.